now have a Republican Party that is no longer willing to stand up for the Constitution and stand up for the liberty that it provides. So that means that we have a choice of labels. We got a choice of labels. We have the Democrat Party doesn't believe in being standing up for the people and letting the people have their responsible role, and a Republican Party that won't stand up for the Republic. Now, we are the people, and we love the Republic. Don't you think it's time we got together to do something about what's going on in this country? And I do. So, we have a bankrupt, broken banking system. We have a morally bankrupt and broken political system. And I know that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I believe in that. But tell me, y'all, what do you do if something's really, really broken? You know what you do? You throw it away, and you get a new one. You throw it away, and you build a new one. But this is the real problem. And this is where I so depart from the usual wisdom of speaking to audiences, because I shall, as I've been telling them, I've got to say something to y'all that you may not appreciate or like to hear. While you're apportioning blame for where we stand in this country, while you're telling the bankers all about their greed and the politicians all about their ungodly ambition which sacrifice the common good of our country, while you're pointing the finger at Wall Street and at Washington, D.C., I recommend that you go home and look in the mirror. I recommend that you remember that a government on, by, and for the people depends on you. Where have you been? What have you done? What have you been doing? I know there are some people in this crowd that can answer that question, and there are other people in this crowd that need to start answering that question. And we need to start answering it in every city, in every town, in every village in America. Because a government of, by, and for the people cannot survive without them. There's nothing exciting about a speaker that shows up when the people don't. But there's everything possible when the people show up, even if nobody else does. Because at the end of the day, it is how America started. And the need for that realization that it's all depending on us. Do you realize it's right there in the national anthem? I've been saying this to folks lately because it just struck me deeply lately as I've been singing the anthem and listening to it. The last words of the verse we always sing. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Well, that's a question. That's not a statement, y'all. We talk about it as if it's a statement. We talk about it as if it is affirming something wonderful we are. No, it is putting a question to us. And that question rings down through every generation since that anthem was put on paper by the poet. It rings down to every person, to every individual, to every American. Are you still the free? Are you still the brave? And those two qualities, that was no accident. As you see, you can't have freedom if you don't have courage. That's right. And I have to say, I think that a lot of people in this country, it was exemplified the other day by a fellow. I have a website called loyaltoliberty.com, not advertising, loyaltoliberty.com. And I write things and people comment on them. And one of the folks was commenting about politics and candidates and all. And he allowed his how. He was all for the things that I wrote about and so forth and so on. And when he saw somebody who was successful out there back in those days, he was going to back that person up. And as I wrote this, I said to myself, well, you know, that reminds me of one of these nice, wonderful, classic Western movies that we still ought to watch, which we don't. High Noon. And the point when Marshall is going around town trying to find if anybody's going to stand with him to fight the bad guy. You remember that? Yeah. Some of you surely do. And as he's going around town, he encounters folks. Now, the first kind of people are the people who are hiding in the basement, tell their wives to come to the door and say they weren't home. See? That's the first kind of folks. The second kind of folks were the folks who came to the door and said, and looked at him and said, well, that's what we hired you for, Marshall, slam the door. See? And then there was the third kind of people sort of like this dog. Well, you know, you get some more people to back up and I'll be with you. You can count on that. And they closed the door. And don't you understand what that means, y'all? It means that from being individuals who are willing to think through what we believe to be right and stand for it, come what may, we have become herd animals, we have become sheep, we have become lemmings, we have become those who are willing to follow some Pied Piper of glamour and success over the cliff of oblivion. So that's as long as we think that's where people are going. The beauty of our American way of life is that we understand that government of, by, and for the people cannot succeed unless every individual has the faith, has the heart, has the courage to stand for what is right on their own. It's a task. So how is that possible? How can anybody be willing to stand in the face of the brickbats of ridicule, to stand against those who tell you, we've got the people and we've got the power and you've got nothing, you are nothing? See? How do we do that? You know how we do it? We do it by remembering what the people who founded this country, remember, we revere George Washington. We think of him as this great man, this great figure. He had a ragtag bunch of folks. Couldn't even have shoes on their feet, facing the most well-armed, well-equipped army in the world. If you were going with the odds, you wouldn't have gone with Washington and the Patriots. They were standing there in a world that ridiculed their chances, that didn't think they had a chance of victory. But at the end of the day, they did not waver. They stood through the harshest winter. They stood through all the defeat. And you know why that was? Do you know why they had the courage to stand? Because they did not have so much pride that they would not go down on their knees before their almighty Creator God. That's why. Right now, we are watching as a pattern develops.